You spent 45 minutes mentally rehearsing how to order a coffee, and then when it was your turn, you said you too when the cashier said, "Enjoy your drink." Yeah, we need to talk. Here's the thing most people get completely wrong. They think social anxiety is just being shy. Oh, I'm just an introvert. I'm just a little nervous around people. But those are two very different things, and confusing them might be why you've been suffering in silence for years. Here's a wild fact to put that in perspective. 36% of people with social anxiety disorder reported experiencing symptoms for 10 or more years before ever seeking help. 10 years. That's basically a whole decade of avoiding parties, overthinking texts, and fake laughing in group settings. Today, we're going through 8 signs that what you're experiencing might be more than just shyness. It might be social anxiety disorder. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what separates a personality quirk from a real mental health condition and what to do about it. I'll also throw in a few painfully relatable examples along the way. For the people in the back who are watching this alone in a dark room to avoid human contact. Let's get into it. Sign number 1. You're constantly self-conscious. Not just sometimes first, let's establish something important. Social anxiety disorder affects an estimated 15 million adults. That's 7.1% of the U.S. population alone. And it typically starts young. The median age of onset is just 13 years old. So there's a real chance you've been living with this since middle school and just assumed everyone felt this way. Here's the key difference most people miss. Shyness is situational. A shy person might feel nervous meeting someone new or speaking in public. That makes total sense. Social anxiety, though, it involves a persistent, severe fear of social interaction and of being judged or watched by others. And the fear can feel so overwhelming it feels completely uncontrollable. So ask yourself, do you only feel self-conscious in specific situations? Or does the voice in your head never fully shut up whether you're at a party, at the grocery store, or just existing near other humans? If it's the second one, that's our first sign. Sign number 2, your anxiety feels completely out of proportion. Okay, quick test. Have you ever felt a full-blown anxiety spiral about making eye contact or ordering food at a restaurant, or someone reading your text and not replying immediately? Because here's the thing. Normal social nerves make sense in high-stakes situations. Job interview? Understandable. First date? Valid. But social anxiety disorder involves a persistent fear of being judged, embarrassed, or rejected. And it often lasts 6 months or more, showing up nearly every time you encounter those situations. Not just occasionally. The fear isn't proportional to the situation. Logically that the self-checkout machine is not judging you. But your body? Your body has already activated full emergency protocol. That's what makes social anxiety different from just being nervous. It's irrational, unrelenting, and honestly, exhausting. If this sounds way too familiar, that's sign number 2. Sign number 3, it's actively tanking your performance. Let's talk about the real-world damage for a second, because this is where social anxiety stops being just uncomfortable and starts being genuinely life-limiting. Have you ever stayed quiet in a meeting because speaking up felt scarier than the consequences of not speaking up? Missed class? Called in sick when the real reason was that you just couldn't deal with people that day? You're not lazy. You're not antisocial. You might be dealing with something that creates a cycle. Social anxiety limits educational attainment, which limits career options, which adds financial stress. And it's more common than you'd think. Only around 20% of individuals with social anxiety seek professional help, often after delays of 10 to 20 years. 20 years of just white-knuckling through life. The worst part? Some people with social anxiety are so afraid of standing out that they're even afraid to do well. They won't raise their hand even when they know the answer. They won't pitch the idea even when it's brilliant. If this is you, you're not flawed. You're fighting something real. Sign number 4, it's messing with your relationships. Here's one people rarely talk about, and it might be the most heartbreaking one on this list. Most people assume social anxiety only affects strangers. Oh, I'm just awkward around new people. But social anxiety doesn't go away with familiarity. It involves experiencing fear, distress, and embarrassment whenever you're around other people, even close ones. Your parents, your best friend, your partner of 5 years. It doesn't matter if it's someone who loves you unconditionally. Something in your brain still sends the alarm signal. They're judging you. Did you say something weird? Why did they go quiet for 2 seconds? That means they hate you now. While shyness tends to fade with familiarity as people warm up to each other, social anxiety persists. The anxiety is ongoing, not just a warm-up period. If your tension with the people closest to you never really goes away, that's sign 4, and it's worth paying attention to. Sign number 5. You overanalyze everything, and we mean everything. All right, real talk. Have you ever sent a text, then spent the next 3 hours analyzing the fact that they responded with a period instead of an exclamation mark? I said sounds good. They said sounds good. No exclamation point. They're upset with me. I've ruined the friendship. I need to move cities. This is the overanalysis spiral that people with social anxiety know intimately. And it doesn't stop at texts. It extends to tone of voice, facial expressions, whether someone's eyebrows moved slightly when you said something. You become basically a full-time body language analyst, but for threats that probably don't exist. This kind of post-event rumination, replaying social interactions over and over looking for what went wrong, is a hallmark of social anxiety disorder. The fear of being judged or watched by others is so persistent that it extends long after the interaction is over. You're not overthinking. Your brain is stuck in a threat detection loop. And that's sign 5. Sign number 6. You avoid social situations. Even the ones you actually want to attend. This one stings a little, so brace yourself. There's a difference between not wanting to go somewhere and desperately wanting to go somewhere but being physically unable to make yourself do it. People with social anxiety often genuinely want connection. They want to go to the party. They want to attend the birthday dinner. But the key difference between shyness and social anxiety comes down to 3 things: intensity, avoidance, and life impact. And avoidance is where social anxiety gets truly controlling. It might start small, skipping one event, then declining invitations just this week, then realizing you haven't been to a social gathering in months. The avoidance becomes its own habit, and the world quietly gets smaller. People with social anxiety may avoid social situations entirely, or endure them with significant distress. And even the thought of a social event can trigger symptoms like sweating, nausea, a racing heart, or shaking. That anticipatory dread, sometimes days before an event, is a major red flag. If your calendar is mostly empty because fear filled the spaces, that's sign 6. Sign number 7 and number 8. Your body is setting off alarms, and it's not just in your head. The last 2 signs are linked, and they're the ones that often finally convince people that what they're experiencing is real, because it's physical. Social anxiety isn't just psychological. When you're in a social situation that triggers you, your body activates as if it's in actual danger. We're talking sweaty palms, racing heart, shortness of breath, nausea, lightheadedness, trembling. And here's the important distinction. These symptoms show up specifically in social situations or when you're anticipating them. The other final sign, sign 8, is that none of this gets better with time on its own. Without treatment, social anxiety can persist for years, decades, or even a lifetime, significantly impacting quality of life. This is not a phase. It is not something you'll just grow out of. But, and this is important, it's also highly treatable. Cognitive behavioral therapy has strong evidence behind it. Medication options exist. Support communities exist. About 63% of people with social anxiety in high-income countries never receive any professional treatment, and that is the real tragedy, because help genuinely works. You've spent enough time thinking something was just wrong with you as a person. That's not what this is. So here's the recap, the 8 signs you might have social anxiety, not just shyness. You're always self-conscious, not just in certain situations. Your anxiety feels wildly out of proportion to what's happening. It's affecting your performance at work or school. Your closest relationships feel tense, not just new ones. You overanalyze everything, texts, expressions, silences. You avoid situations you actually want to be part of, and your body physically reacts heart racing, nausea, shaking when social situations hit. Half of all social anxiety cases begin by age 11, and about 80% start before age 20, which means there are a lot of people walking around thinking this is just who they are. It's not. It's something that happened to them and something that can change. If you saw yourself in this video, you're not broken. You're not too sensitive. You're not just awkward. You might just need the right support. If this video helped you feel a little less alone, hit like it genuinely helps this content reach the people who need it most. We'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.